The ranch lay silent under the bruised sky. Dust curled in lazy spirals across the empty corral, the boards of the fence gray and splintered. The wind carried the smell of dry grass and something sharper, something metallic. He rode in hard, the horse's hooves thudding against the earth, each strike a warning in the fading light. A scream cut through the dusk, sudden and raw, slicing the quiet like a blade. He froze mid-rein, ears straining. There, near the old rail fence. Something small, something trembling. He kicked the horse forward. Closer. A bundle of cloth flailed against the fence. A baby. Tiny. Soaked in dirt and fear. Her cries were high-pitched, desperate. He slid off the horse, boots sinking into the soft soil. Who left you here? His voice cracked. He leaned down, hands hovering over the small figure. Who? The girl's eyes were wide, wet, staring up at him, unblinking. She made no sound except for the occasional hiccup of panic. He saw a note, crumpled and dirty, pressed into the dirt beside her. He grabbed it, unfolding it with one rough hand, eyes darting across the jagged handwriting. Nothing else, no signature, no explanation. Only the words. Hold her just one night. God damn it, little one. Stay still. He pressed his palm against her chest. The weight of her was immediate, shocking. She shivered violently. He felt her heart hammering against his hand. Shh. Shh. I got you. The wind carried a faint creak from the fence. He looked up, scanning the horizon. Empty. Nothing. No one. The silence pressed back like a living thing. She's alone. His voice was low. How the hell? Why? He swallowed, bent closer, wrapping her loosely in his coat. Why tie you here? His fingers brushed the strands of hair plastered to her face. He caught a whiff of something faintly sweet. Milk, fear, life, all tangled. Don't you cry. Not yet. Not here. He stood, car. He looked back at the fence through the window. It was a line, a boundary, a trap. The place she had been left. He gritted his teeth. Someone wanted to bind her. Someone wanted to leave her for death, or worse. He tightened his hands into fists. Not on my watch. She hiccuped again, eyes bright and wet, blinking up at him. He smiled faintly, a sharp, uneasy smile. You scared me half to death, but I guess. We're stuck together now, huh? Her tiny fingers brushed his coat. He didn't move. The simple contact felt like a lifeline, fragile and trembling. He couldn't explain why, but it rooted him to this moment. The scream, the note, the fence, it was all a trap and a challenge and a beginning, and she was the center of it. He gathered some blankets, wrapping her tight. She stopped crying, worn out, finally sinking against him. He carried her to the hearth, settled her down, and sat close, watching her chest rise and fall. Sleep, just for a while. I'll figure the rest out, I promise. Outside, the wind moved the grass like a slow wave. Shadows stretched over the yard. The fence stood as it always had. Boundary, trap, warning. But inside, by the fire, the baby slept. And he, the exiled rancher, for the first time in years, felt something he hadn't in a long time. Responsibility, fear, and a spark of life that wasn't his own. The note, crumpled and stained, remained in his pocket. A whisper of someone else's plan. A promise of darkness. And in the flickering light, he swore silently. No one would touch her while he was here. The fence could wait. The night could wait. The world could wait. She would not. The cabin smelled of ash and old wood. Smoke curled from the hearth, dancing in the dim room, swallowing corners in half-light. He placed the girl gently on the rug, her tiny body shivering. Her eyes, wide and damp, reflected the flames. He pulled a blanket over her and to close, knees pressed against the cold floorboards. The wind rattled the broken window panes, a skeletal warning outside. He studied her for a long moment. Her hair was fine, golden and tangled, catching the firelight. You cold? He asked. His voice was low, careful. No. Scared? She whispered, her teeth chattering. Ain't nobody here but me, he said. She blinked, unsure, then buried her face against his coat. The motion was small, almost instinctive, but it struck something raw in him. He leaned back, resting against the wall, watching the flames. Shadows stretched and twisted across the room, turning the corners into shapes he hadn't noticed before, shapes of memories he had tried to lock away. He muttered to himself, almost a confession. Can't can't leave her here. Not like before. The girl stirred. Tiny fingers brushed his hand. He flinched, then pressed his palm against hers. It's all right. I'm not going anywhere. Her eyes searched his face, unblinking. Why you here? He looked away, tracing the charred mantelpiece with a finger. Exiled, long story. Don't matter now. She tilted her head, eyes wide. Exiled? Left. Town. People turned. Friends. Gone. Family gone. Everything gone. He stared into the fire, flames licking the air with soft heat and sharper threat. The fire reminded him of other nights, other losses. Nights when he had held his son and his wife in his arms, hearing screams through this very wind. Nights when betrayal had tasted like iron on his tongue, and politics had broken homes like boards under a horse's hoof. Family gone? She asked, her voice small, tremulous. Yes, all of them, he muttered, the words like stones falling into a well. Took me years to leave the pain behind. Thought I did. She shuffled closer. Pain? Yeah. He rubbed the back of his neck. Town men, sheriff, thought I was weak. Took my land, took my name, left me nothing. Thought I'd crumble. I didn't. She listened, silent except for the occasional hiccup. Her small presence demanded honesty he hadn't given anyone in years. Once had, boy, wife, died. Didn't matter how I fought. Didn't matter how I rode, how I begged, how I swore. Gone. His voice cracked. All of it. Her hand touched his, tiny, tentative. He looked down, startled by the impulse for connection. You cold? He asked again, almost to distract himself. No. Scared, she repeated. Her words were a whisper, but this time softer, almost comforting. The fire's heat crept up his legs. The shadows seemed to lean closer, listening, judging, waiting. He kept talking, fragmenting memories into shards. I tried to hold on. People lied. Friends lied. Sheriff laughed when I begged for help. Nothing left. Nothing. She tilted her head, eyes reflecting the orange flicker. Why, stay? He laughed softly, bitterly. Because someone has to. Because you, little one, you don't deserve to be left like me. Alone, cold, scared. Her eyes flicked to the shadows, then back to his face. You, scared? He swallowed hard. Yeah. He admitted it without thinking. Scared I'll fail again. Scared I won't protect you. Scared the fire won't burn long enough to keep the dark away. She pressed closer, shivering. Fire? Hot? Hot enough to keep us alive tonight. He reached into his coat pocket, fingers brushing the crumpled note again. He flexed his hand. Someone left you for a reason. Don't know why, don't know who, but I'll find out. Her small voice barely cut through the crackling flames. Find why? Yes. His hand brushed her hair, soft and strange against his rough fingers. Someone meant to hurt you, me. I'll stop it. I'll make sure it don't happen again. The fire flickered, shadows leaping across walls and ceiling. He saw shapes of his past in the movements, faces of the wife he lost, the boy he buried in secret, friends turning their backs. Each flicker of light reminded him how fragile trust was, how sharp betrayal could cut. Oh, lonely? She asked suddenly, her voice small, questioning. Yeah, he admitted. Lonely. Thought I'd get used to it. Thought I wanted it. Turns out, don't. He glanced down. Never thought I'd carry a little life like yours again. Not after hers. She snuggled into him, small arms tight. Life? Yours? Yes. Yours. Mine. Tonight. You hear me? His voice firm now, protective. Nobody's taking you. Not the wind, not the shadows, not anyone. The cabin seemed to breathe with him. Wind rattled the windows, whistled through gaps in the boards. The fire's warmth was a shield, a fragile boundary against the chill outside. He focused on her, counting heartbeats, watching her chest rise and fall. Each rise was a promise, each fall a reminder of vulnerability. He let memories come in fragments. Town meetings, arguments, whispers over fences. Deals gone wrong, faces turning cold, hands shaking with deceit. He saw the sheriff laughing with men who had once sworn loyalty. He saw his wife staring through rain-slicked windows as betrayal took their family from him. He swallowed the bitterness, letting it coat his tongue, letting it teach him what to guard now. You... sad? She asked softly. Yeah, he admitted. Sad. Scared, lonely, angry. He exhaled slowly, rubbing her back. But not hopeless, not tonight. The fire crackled louder, sparks rising and vanishing in the dark. Shadows stretched across the walls like warning fingers. He saw shapes that weren't there, or maybe they were. Phantoms of memory, ghosts of past sins, specters of the people who had betrayed him. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the flicker of light burn the faces away, leaving only the girl and the warmth. You sleep? He asked. She shook her head slightly, eyes half-lidded. Not yet. Good. He rubbed his hands together, trying to shake the cold and the past. Then we wait, we watch, we survive. Her tiny hand found his again, clutching at the sleeve of his coat. Together? Together. He smiled faintly, the first in years. No one alone tonight. Not you, not me, not ever while the fire burns. The flames threw their warmth unevenly, shadows folding and unfolding in silent rhythm. Outside, the wind howled over empty fields, over fences that trapped and defined, over exile and memory. Inside, the cabin smelled of smoke, ash, and something new. Hope wrapped in small, trembling flesh. He felt it. A bond forming in the quiet between cries and whispers, a fragile trust stitched from fear and heat. He touched the back of her neck gently. Sleep soon, let the fire guard you, let me guard you. One night, just one, then we see the day. Her lids drooped, the small body settling against him. The firelight painted them in gold and shadow. He closed his eyes, listening to her shallow breaths. The night was long, the world outside was cruel, but inside, between fire and confession, he was alive again in ways he hadn't been since the loss. And for the first time in years, he felt the faint pulse of something that could survive darkness. The wind had shifted. Dust scuttled across the yard, twisting in shallow eddies beneath the fence. He heard the hoofbeats long before he saw the horse. The sheriff rode in slow, deliberate, shadowed by the fading sun. Badge glinting, gun at his hip, the man carried authority in his posture and weight. The girl stirred inside, nestled against blankets. He felt her small body tense under his coat. Evening, the sheriff said, dismounting with the measured caution of a man used to being obeyed. His eyes swept the yard, the cabin, the fence. Found something? A girl, tied. Up. His voice was blunt, flat. He kept one hand on the doorframe, the other shielding the small bundle. The sheriff studied him, narrowed eyes, hands hovering near the gun. You know anything? Nothing I can tell. He kept his tone even. He didn't flinch. The girl's tiny fingers curled against his chest. Don't lie to me. The sheriff's voice hardened. I can see through that. I'm not lying. He squared his shoulders. She's a child, left for someone else. I'm keeping her safe. The sheriff's eyes flicked to the cabin. Rancher, this isn't your business. His tone was measured, casual, but it carried a threat. You can't just take in whoever you find. She was left to die, he said, his voice low, tight. You'd let her? Watch your tone, the sheriff said. His hand brushed his gun. Just a brush, enough to remind him that power wasn't just words. I'll do what's right, he said, not what you say. The sheriff smirked faintly. We'll see. He stepped closer, boots scuffing the floorboards. The sun had dipped low, turning the cabin windows into black mirrors. He saw himself reflected there, older, harder, carrying ghosts behind the eyes. The sheriff's shadow fell across the threshold, a dark line cutting the warmth from the fire. She's asleep, he added, nodding in toward the hearth. You won't find anything here. Even so. The sheriff leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. People talk. This town, gossip travels faster than a storm. You protecting her doesn't make you noble, makes you a target. He looked at the girl, fingers brushing her hair back from her eyes. I'll take the risk. The sheriff studied him for a long moment. You sure about that? Yes. He kept his voice steady. You won't take her, not while I'm here. A pause. The firelight flickered across the sheriff's face. Shadows crept into the corners, stretching toward the ceiling, pulling memory, as with them. He remembered his wife, his son, the betrayal, the town turning its back. He remembered faces he could never forgive, faces he had sworn to forget. And yet, here he was again, defending someone small and helpless, a chance to protect, to prevent loss. Badge and gun don't scare me, he muttered, almost to himself. Not anymore. The sheriff's gaze sharpened. Bold words. Too bold. He tilted his head. You've been alone long enough to forget how fragile trust is. People like me, we don't forget. We don't forgive. We watch. I watch too, he said, and I protect. Protecting her won't protect you. The sheriff stepped closer, boots creaking. This is a town full of eyes and mouths. Someone will notice, someone will talk. You know how it goes. I know, he admitted. I know how it goes. And I don't care. The sheriff's fingers brushed the brim of his hat, shadows deepening across his face. You're defiant. I can respect that. But the law, your defiance doesn't change the law. The law didn't save my family, he said, voice rising slightly, heat creeping into the tone. The law didn't stop betrayal, didn't stop death, and it sure as hell didn't stop her from being left out there. Careful, the sheriff said. Careful how you speak. You might think you're speaking for justice, but words like that, his hand hovered near the gun, words like that can get a man in trouble. I don't need your approval, he shot back, moving slightly to shield the girl. I need your understanding, and you won't get it. The sheriff paused, tilting his head, watching him, calculating. Then he let a slow sigh escape. Maybe I won't. Maybe that's not my job tonight. But remember, everything has eyes in this town. Even silence has ears. I'll remember. He clenched his jaw. And she stays here, safe. The sheriff nodded slowly. You've got courage, I'll give you that. But courage isn't protection, not really. He glanced toward the cabin again. You're playing a dangerous game, rancher. Be ready for consequences. I'm ready, he said. His gaze didn't waver. He felt the tension coil in his chest, the old reflex to fight, to stand, to survive. His fingers brushed the blanket over the girl's shoulders. She doesn't deserve consequences. The sheriff's eyes narrowed, then widened faintly, studying him. You've got something most men here lost long ago. He smiled faintly, a predator's smile, but without warmth. Conviction. Don't lose it. Don't let it make you soft. Not in this place. I won't, he said. He breathed out, letting the firelight warm his chest. I never will. The sheriff straightened, glancing at the horizon. We'll see. Then he turned, horse's hooves kicking up dust as he left. The sound faded, leaving the yard empty again, wind whispering through the fence posts. He exhaled slowly. The girl stirred in his lap, blinking up at him. Her small eyes, wide and trusting, reminded him what he fought for. All clear, he whispered, brushing her hair back. For now. She shivered, nestling closer. Safe? For now, he said. I promise. The fire flickered, shadows leaping across the walls, drawing shapes that looked like men and faces. He watched them silently, the memory of the sheriff's glare and gun lingering, sharp and threatening. He pressed his hands together, keeping them near the girl, protective. Quiet now, he murmured. Nobody's taking you tonight. The wind rattled the windows, the badge, the gun, the sheriff's words. They lingered like smoke. He couldn't erase them. He couldn't ignore them. But he could act. He could choose, and he had chosen. Protection, no matter the cost. The girl blinked up at him, tiny lips parted. You protect? Yes, he said. Always. That's my job now. Outside, shadows moved with the wind. The fence hell, secrets and warnings. The world remained dangerous, small, and cruel. But inside, the fire burned, and he watched her sleep, hands close, ready. Authority had come and gone, but he remained. Guardian, witness, rancher, protector, the choice was his, and it burned in him brighter than any threat. The night had thickened. The wind moaned across the empty fields, bending the fence posts in restless rhythm. Moonlight slanted through broken boards, casting thin, cold stripes across the yard. He carried the girl outside, blanket wrapped tightly around her small body. The well sat a few paces away, old stones darkened by years and neglect, water deep and black inside. The air smelled damp and sour, carrying a faint metallic tang. Hear that? He asked, crouching beside the well. No, she whispered, small fingers gripping his coat. Yes. In the well. The words fell quiet, almost a hiss, as if he didn't want the sound to escape. The water below seemed to move, ripple without wind. He leaned closer, listening. A faint murmur, twisting in the air, echoing with something old and raw. Memories clawed at him, laughter, screams, betrayals whispered over fences, promises broken under the heat of midday sun. "What is it?" she asked, voice small, almost tremulous. "Not sure," he swallowed. "Old well, holds, stories. Sometimes water remembers things we wish it wouldn't." She pressed closer. "Stories?" "Yes, stories. Things people try to bury. Secrets, pain." He rested a hand against her back. "We don't want to hear it, but sometimes it finds us anyway." The wind twisted through the yard, carrying the faintest sound of someone whispering, indecipherable, chilling. He could feel the girl stiffen against him. "Hear it?" he asked again. "No, I don't." "Yes, you will." He kept his voice low. "Listen." The water shimmered, reflecting the silver moon, as though moving with life. A soft hiss rose from its depths. He stared, trying to discern the words, trying to ignore the shiver creeping up his spine. "Long ago, wrongs, buried, never forgiven." He repeated it under his breath. Sure if the voice came from him or the well itself. She tilted her head, eyes wide. Wrong what? Things done that shouldn't have been. Secrets people hoped would drown in water and dust. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they whisper back. He pulled her closer, fingers threading through her hair. "It's nothing that can hurt us, I hope. But we watch, we listen, we stay ready." She shivered. "Why? Whisper?" "Water remembers." He traced a hand along the rim of the well. Cold stone bit through his glove, like memory, like regret, like punishment. His eyes drifted across the dark horizon, trees bending in the night, shadows moving where no one stood. He felt the weight of ancestral wrongs pressing down. The wind carried voices he had known, names he had buried, faces he had hated. "Hear them?" she asked, small and tense. "Yeah," he admitted. "But don't you?" "Not yet." Her small hand pressed against his chest. "They angry?" "Maybe, maybe not. Just restless. People die. But sometimes their sins linger. This well, it remembers more than people think." The girl rocked slightly in his arms, uneasy, sensing something deeper than the ordinary night. He glanced down at her. "You've got sharp ears, little one, more than I expected." "Why, me?" she asked. "Because you notice, you feel, you survive, that's why." His voice softened. "And I'm here, always." A ripple moved across the water. The sound came again, faint but insistent, murmurs that tickled the edge of understanding, voices shaped like old grief, anger, and fear. He crouched lower. "Listen closely. Not every sound is what it seems. Not every whisper is real, but all of it matters." She shivered, eyes flicking toward the well. "It's cold?" "Yes, cold, but it's alive. Can warn us, can remind us." He traced her tiny fingers against her cheek. "Remember, we stay close. Fire's inside, cold's outside. Well, well's in bet. Ween." The murmuring rose slightly, weaving into the wind. He felt it prickling across his neck, his arms, pressing against his mind. He had not known fear like this since the night his wife had vanished, since betrayal had toppled everything he had. He shivered, suppressing a tremor. "We've seen what people hide. We've felt what ghosts carry. Tonight, we only listen." "Ghosts?" she asked, hesitant, small. "Yes." His voice was quiet, firm. "Not the kind that walk the house, the kind that never left, the kind that wait in wells and corners, that linger in the air and water. Remember, watch, wait." The girl nestled closer, pressing against him. "You stay? Always." "I stay." His hand stroked her hair slowly. "No well, no shadow, no whisper touches you while I'm here." The murmurs twisted. He strained, catching fragments, names, anger, fear, regret. Faces he'd known flashed in the dark water. People he'd trusted, people he had lost. Faces of betrayal, of violence, of silence. His throat tightened. "Water doesn't forget," he muttered. "It takes memory, holds it. Sometimes it speaks." Her small voice broke through. "Tell story." "I'll tell later." He brushed her hair back. "Stories from the well aren't safe yet. Not tonight. We listen. We watch. We stay close. Fire burns. Water whispers. We survive. The wind shifted, scattering leaves and dirt. Shadows stretched from the fence and cabin, trembling in the moonlight. The girl's grip tightened. "Scared?" she asked, voice small. "A little," he admitted, "but scared with eyes open. Not blind, not hiding." The murmuring became more insistent. He leaned over the well. Long ago, people did things that hurt others, things they thought were forgotten. Not forgotten, never forgotten. Water remembers, air remembers, shadows remember. You don't have to understand now, only know we're safe. She looked into the dark water, wide-eyed. And they... angry? Maybe, maybe not. Just waiting to be noticed, to be remembered. And we notice, we remember, and we move on. The night stretched. He stayed crouched by the well. The girl pressed to him. Murmurs continued, faint and cryptic. Every rustle in the wind, every flicker of shadow became a message, a warning, a memory from a past that refused to stay buried. "You listen too?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "I listen, always." The fire inside the cabin was a thin line against the cold, a beacon. He glanced at it, thinking of warmth, safety, and trust. The well held danger, memory, and whispers. He pressed his hand against the girl's back again. "No, well, no shadow, no wind, hurts you while I'm here. I promise." She pressed closer. "Promise? Always." The murmurs faded, leaving only wind and the distant howl of an animal. The well was silent for a moment, holding its secrets. He stood slowly, carrying the girl back toward the cabin. Shadows followed, stretching across the yard, but the warmth of fire awaited inside. He stepped over the threshold, pulling her close. Safe now, for tonight. The wind rattled the broken windows. The well remained dark, deep, a conduit of memory and whispers. Water reflected nothing but moonlight, yet he knew it remembered everything. Outside, the world carried secrets and curses. Inside, fire burned, a fragile barrier against the dark, and the girl's small body pressed to him reminded him why he had to stand, listen, and protect. The cabin smelled of dust and old wood, but beneath it, something sharper lingered: ink, paper, and memory. He found the stack of letters wedged behind a loose floorboard, tied with twine yellowed with age. One broke free in his hand. He turned it over, eyes narrowing. The handwriting was unfamiliar, curling like smoke, elegant and cruel. The girl stirred beside the fire, blanket over her shoulders, watching him silently. This ain't mine," he muttered, voice low, shaking slightly as he held the letter up. "It is now. Keep it," a memory whispered, soft, almost mocking. A woman's voice he barely recognized, years dead. A betrayal carried across generations, tied to the land, to him, to the people who had condemned him. He sank to the floor, cross-legged, the letter heavy in his hand. She watched, tiny eyes wide. "Who?" "Them?" she asked. "Enemies," he said, voice flat, bitter. "Or friends. Depends on the day, depends on the truth you're willing to see." Her small fingers curled around his coat. "Truth? Scary?" "Sometimes." He opened another letter. "Sometimes it kills more than a gun. Sometimes it poisons hearts before it even reaches hands. Words can bury families, girl." He traced the ink with a finger. "This one says they wanted me gone. Land, name, everything. Told lies to everyone, even those who swore loyalty." "Why lie?" she asked. "Power," he said. "Greed, fear, hatred. People keep score with blood and words. Letters carry both." He read aloud slowly, tasting each word. "Rancher gone. Reputation ruined. Trust shattered. House empty. No witness survives." His hand clenched the paper. "They wrote me dead long before I left." "Dead?" she repeated, small voice trembling. "Alive, barely." He shook his head. "But exile's worse than death sometimes. They can erase you from memory, from town, from your own family." Another letter fell from the bundle. He read aloud again, voice tighter, harder. "She's tied to the past. Her arrival is an accident. Every move I made, watched. Every step measured. Letters like these, like chains." The girl's small hand pressed his arm. "Chains hurt?" "Sometimes," he swallowed. "Sometimes they remind you what you were trying to protect." His eyes flicked to her. You, you remind me. Tiny life, unexpected. You show me I can still do right, still fight shadows. She pressed closer. Shadows? Bad? Some of them. He brushed her hair back. Some of them carry memory, some carry lies, some carry curses. He unfolded another letter, voice rising, sharp with disbelief. Your father knew the sheriff, knew the men, swore loyalty, betrayed me first. Then they all turned. Townsfolk whispered, and letters confirmed. Everything I feared, true. Father, bad? She asked, small, almost instinctive. Yes, he was, or he became, or he was just scared. Scared men can be cruel. His hands trembled slightly, holding the letters as though they burned. And I left, forced out. Exile given by lies and paper. People trusted ink over life. Paper? Strong? She asked. Stronger than bullets sometimes, sharper than knives. Letters remember what people pretend to forget. And I have to remember too, now, to keep you safe. He stacked the letters, sorting them. Each revealed layers, betrayal, townsfolk alliances, threats thinly veiled, curses hinted at in careful phrasing. His exile was not random. It was a plan executed slowly, meticulously. Every letter carried proof, accusation, manipulation. His heart hammered. This arrival of yours, he muttered, it's not coincidence. You're part of this, maybe always meant to be. She tilted her head. Me, part? Yes, tiny one. Every life here, tangled. Every wrong, waits. And now, you arrived. He read another aloud. Her fate intertwined. Generations punished. Secrets buried. Only fire and vigilance can protect. Protect? Like you? She asked softly. Yes, like me. I guard. I watch. I fight. He exhaled, voice cracking. I don't know everything yet. Don't know who did what. But I will. The letters burned a cold weight in his hands, a mirror of what he had lost, of the exile forced upon him. Faces rose in memory, friends who turned, family who disappeared, neighbors who whispered. Each letter confirmed fear, betrayal, and the stakes he had never fully seen. Why keep? She asked, watching him intently. Because knowledge is power, because knowing the past keeps us alive. His hands shook slightly. Ignorance would make us prey. Letters like these, they are proof, warning, and weapon. He unfolded another, ink stained with age, edges frayed. Look here, he said, reading aloud. Heed the child. She brings what was buried. Protect her, or the sins of the past will follow. He swallowed. They knew, always knew, planned. Letters never lie, people do. She pressed closer. Sins? Follow? Yes, but not while I'm here. His hands moved gently over hers. Not while I guard you. Not while the fire burns. Not while I remember what they tried to erase. The stack of letters seemed endless. Each one told stories of old men, greedy, cruel, shrouded in politicking and betrayal. Each one hinted at deeper shadows. He felt their weight in his chest, suffocating, yet clarifying. He could see the pattern now. Exile, manipulation, threats, town alliances, curses whispered in ink. Every letter? She asked. Yes, every single one. He folded the last letter, fingers brushing over the paper like it carried life. Every one a thread in the chain they hoped I'd break under, but I didn't. Didn't and won't. She tugged at his coat. Safe? Letters safe? They are. He nodded, eyes fierce. And so are you. That's what matters. A draft rattled the windows. Shadows shifted. The firelight flared and dimmed, casting the walls into shifting shapes. He felt eyes in the dark, from memories, from letters, from the town beyond. Each flicker, each murmur, seemed to ask whether he would falter. He pressed the girl close. You, here, he said softly. Means I fight. Means I guard. Means I keep the past from claiming us. Letters show the way, little one. But you remind me why I keep walking through the dark. Her small voice whispered, Through dark? Safe? Yes, he said, always safe wit. Ah, me. The letters lay spread across the floor, inked proof of sins, lies, and power shifts. He stacked them carefully, hiding some behind the floorboard again, leaving others accessible. He felt the weight of their history, and beneath it, a new responsibility. The girl's arrival was not coincidence. It was warning and chance. Her life tied to the sins of men long dead, and yet, the fire inside, the warmth, the small trust she offered, gave him hope. "I'll protect," he said, voice low, almost a vow. "Through letters, lies, shadows. I guard. You live, you grow, you survive." She nestled against him, eyes heavy. "Survive? Together?" "Yes, together." He held the letters tight for a moment, then set them aside. Outside, the wind whispered across the empty fields. Inside, firelight flickered across the walls, casting shapes of men in shadows, proof and punishment. He felt the burden of generations, the weight of betrayal, and the fragility of trust. Yet, in the girl's small form pressed to him, he felt the first stirrings of defiance and hope, a chance to undo what had been done, and to protect what mattered most. The wind shook the cabin again, rattling the thin boards as if testing the lock on the door. Moonlight seeped through the cracks, painting the floor in jagged silver lines. He slept lightly, the girl beside him under a threadbare blanket. A noise, soft, deliberate, made him stir. Footsteps, slow, careful, measured. Someone was outside, and they knew how to move without sound. "Step back." His voice was low, sharp, full of warning, as he grabbed the rifle resting near the hearth. "You don't understand. She belongs—" The voice was female, urgent, pleading. A shadow pressed against the threshold, a face half hidden, eyes bright in the moonlight. "Not to anyone, not tonight." His tone hardened. He moved toward the door, holding the girl close, shielding her with his body. Every nerve in him screamed tension. The firelight flickered, casting shadows that seemed to lean forward, stretching toward the intruder. "She's mine!" The woman pressed closer, hand reaching for the door. "I was told, promised." "No promises matter here." He shoved the door slightly, creating distance. "I decide. I protect. She stays." The intruder paused, eyes narrowing, assessing him, calculating. You don't know what's coming. They'll come for her. I don't care." His grip on the girl tightened. "Let them come. I'll stop them. She stays. She's special." The voice cracked. "You can't see it yet, but she's marked. She carries the past. They want her for what she is." "I don't care what they want." He stepped closer, blocking the doorway entirely. "Not tonight. Not ever while I'm here." The woman hesitated. Moonlight caught the edge of a knife she held, glinting. "You can't protect her from everything. Not from them." "I'll protect her from you if I have to." His voice dropped, steady, lethal. The girl stirred slightly, sensing tension. He pressed a hand over her shoulder. "Stay close. Quiet. Trust me." "You're alone," the woman said. "Alone in a cabin with a child you barely know. Better alone than weak." He edged forward, rifle angled between them. "Step back." A quick movement, sudden. She lunged. He twisted, knocking her hand aside. The knife clattered to the floor. The girl gasped. He held her tighter. "I said step back! Stop!" The woman's voice rose, cracking with desperation. "I'm not her enemy." "Not her enemy?" He pressed closer. "You're here to take her. That makes you my enemy. Step back or I make you regret it." I just want to explain." Too late for explaining. Too late for excuses. "Back." His words were iron, sharp as steel. Shadows flickered along the walls. He felt the threshold, the line between safety and threat. And he held it, unflinching. The woman froze, chest heaving, eyes flicking between him and the girl. "You don't know what you're doing," she whispered. Now exactly what I'm doing," he said. "She's safe, and that's my job. You leave now, or I make sure you regret crossing this line." Her face twisted in frustration and fear. "They'll come. They'll take her anyway." "Let them try." His gaze hardened, body tense. "You don't get her. Not while I breathe. Not while I stand here. Not tonight." A long pause. The firelight shifted, throwing their shadows long across the cabin floor. She seemed to weigh her odds, the knife abandoned, hands raised in a surrendering gesture. "Fine," she said finally, "but this isn't over. Not by a long shot." "I know," he said, voice calm but edged with steel. "And I'll be ready. Always." He pushed the door open slightly, forcing her back. "Go, leave, stay out of my sight." She hesitated, eyes flicking to the girl. She doesn't understand. Shh. He pressed a finger to the girl's lips gently. None of it matters now. None of it tonight. Go. The woman backed into the shadows. Moonlight caught her face one last time. Angry, frightened, desperate. Then she was gone, swallowed by the night. He closed the door, bolted it firmly. The girl trembled slightly, but he held her close, feeling her heartbeat slow against his chest. You okay? He asked softly. Yes. Her voice was small, but clear. Scared. I know. He brushed her hair back. But safe now. Nothing gets through that door while I'm here. Promise. Her small hand pressed against his chest. Promise? Always. He wrapped her tighter in the blanket, guiding her to sit near the fire. Shadows danced along the walls, stretching long and lean. The knife on the floor glinted faintly, a cold reminder, but it was out of reach. The threshold held. The line between danger and protection had been drawn. She watched him, wide-eyed. Why come? They wanted you, he said simply. Because you're special. Because you carry what others want. That makes them dangerous. But it also makes you mine to guard. Mine? She echoed softly. Yes, mine to protect. Nobody else. Not tonight. Not ever while I'm here. He felt the weight of every memory, every betrayal, every exile. Every moment had led him to this, guarding her, holding the line, facing anyone who dared cross it. The cabin settled into silence, the wind outside rattling the boards, the firelight flickering over their faces. He kept the rifle close, eyes scanning the shadows. Every sound became a signal, every flicker of moonlight a warning. Yet, with the girl pressed to him, breathing steady, tiny hands resting on his chest, he felt a hard, burning clarity. He was ready. He would always be ready. The door held firm, the threshold remained unbroken. The intruder's footsteps had faded, but the echo lingered, a promise, a threat, a warning. He felt the girl shift slightly, eyes wide and trusting. Nothing else? She asked, small and tense. For now, he smiled faintly, brushing her hair back. Safe for now, and I'll keep it that way. Safe, she whispered. Yes, always, here, with me. The firelight flared and dimmed, casting long shadows along the walls, shapes of threat and protection intertwined. Outside, the night waited, full of wind and whispers. Inside, he held the girl close, body tense, mind alert. The threshold had been defended, power had shifted. He was in control, and she, tiny and fragile, yet bold in her trust, was his responsibility. Sleep, he whispered. Sleep. Nothing touches you while I'm awake. Her eyelids drooped, small breaths deepening. He adjusted the blanket, keeping her safe, rifle within reach. The cabin felt quieter now, but the memory of confrontation lingered, alive, sharp, a reminder of the world beyond these boards. He pressed a hand over the door, feeling the weight of the night outside, the wind pressing in, the promise of others who might come. But he was ready. Every threat, every shadow, every whisper of claim, he would meet it, and she would remain safe. The girl shifted, murmuring softly, and he whispered back, holding her tight. Always safe. Always mine. Outside, the wind howled and twisted through the fence posts. Shadows stretched across the yard. The cabin remained a bastion of warmth and fire. Threshold defended, lines drawn. He sat back, watching, listening, breathing, ready for anything. Moonlight spilled over the riverbank like pale silk, silver and cold. The water rippled quietly, reflecting dark shapes along the opposite shore. He carried the girl close, careful not to slip on the slick stones. Her small hands gripped his coat, eyes wide with wonder and fear. Night hung thick around them, full of sound and suggestion. Wind through the trees, the distant call of an owl, water murmuring secrets they could almost hear. You see them? He asked softly, voice low, almost a whisper. They're gone, she replied, small and uncertain. Not yet. Watch, learn. He set her down on a flat stone near the water, letting the river's glow wash over them both. Shadows shifted, flickered, and seemed to deepen along the far bank. They wait in the dark, little one, not gone, just hidden. Memory hides them. You have to see to understand. her lips pressed together, eyes wide. See them? Yes. Some things are alive in memory. Some things never die. Some things follow you until you face them. He crouched beside her, hand brushing back damp hair. The river, it shows. Reflection of what was, what is, and what could be. Watch. The water trembled in the moonlight, revealing shapes that seemed familiar and impossible. Faces he had lost, men he had fought, women he had loved, children he had failed. They emerged for a moment, flickering, then vanished. He swallowed, heart tight. All of them. Every memory, every betrayal. They live here too, in the water, in the shadows. And you are part of this now. She pressed closer, scared. I know. He wrapped an arm around her small shoulders. But this is why we stand, why we fight, why we protect. He knelt, eyes scanning the shifting reflections. See that one? He pointed to a figure standing near the far shore, pale and still. That's the man who betrayed me first. He tried to bury me with lies, tried to erase me. Watch closely. You'll learn what's hidden in silence. Learn? Why? She asked softly. Because someday, little one, they will test you. You will see what others hide. You will face the same shadows I did. Better you learn now, safe, than stumble in the dark later. He looked at the girl, seeing her small frame tense, eyes reflecting the water's light. And maybe, just maybe, I can make sure you don't have to pay for what I couldn't. Her fingers brushed the surface. They feel cold. Yes, memories are cold, loss is cold, fear is cold, but warmth comes too, if you remember who you are, who you protect. He knelt closer to the edge, showing her his reflection mingling with hers. Look here, you see us? Reflection in the river? That's not just water, that's history, that's grief, that's choice, that's hope. You see it? I see shapes. Yes, shapes and shadows. Watch them long enough and you'll see truth. Truth never lies, little one. Only people lie, and lies are heavy. Heavy like chains. River carries them away, or shows them to you. You choose. A ripple passed, revealing another face. His wife, long dead, eyes accusing, then soft, then gone. His throat tightened. He swallowed. She's gone, but she stays here. Memory, regret, love, all tangled. You see, little one? You see why we protect what matters, why we guard. Guard, like you? Yes, like me. His voice trembled slightly, unsteady under the weight of what he remembered and what he had failed to prevent. He crouched beside her, hand on hers. I failed once. I lost everything I loved. But you arrived, and I choose differently. I will not fail you. The river moved silently, carrying shadows downstream, shapes of the past blending with stars reflected in the water. He saw his exile, betrayal, old enemies, townsfolk gossiping, threats carried in letters, all merging with the girl's presence beside him. She pressed a small hand into his coat, instinctively sensing the weight, the responsibility, the grief he had carried in silence. They follow? She asked, tiny voice trembling. Some always do, he admitted. Some shadows never leave. But some you can face. Some you can cast away. That's why we stand here. That's why you learn. He pointed to a reflection, a figure he once trusted, now a faint shadow on the water. See him? Lies, betrayal. He wanted to bury me alive. I stood, I fought, and now I protect. You, always you. Me? Safe? Yes, safe. He brushed her damp hair back, fingers trembling slightly. And I will keep it that way. Even if the river carries every memory, every shadow, every danger, I will guard you. She leaned closer, breath warm against his chest. River? Magic? Not magic. Truth. He traced the edge of the water with his hand. Magic hides in stories. This is reflection. Reflection of who we were, who we are, who we might become. The river shows it all. You see the past, you see the danger, you see what must be faced. And you learn courage. He crouched fully beside her, pointing to a flicker near the far bank. There, that shadow, that shape, that's the man who spread lies about my family. That's the one who exiled me. That's the one who tried to erase everything. See him? Yes, she whispered, small and steady. Angry. Yes. He nodded. Anger can be useful if you learn to control it, if you learn to understand it. River teaches, shadows teach, and sometimes fear teaches too. That's why we came here. The girl's eyes reflected the water, wide and searching. Learn fast? Yes, you must, but not reckless. Listen, understand, then act. He felt the weight of every choice, every failure, every loss pressing against him. And yet in her small hand gripping his coat, he felt something he hadn't in years. Purpose, redemption, clarity. Will they hurt? She asked, voice small. Only if we let them. He leaned closer, voice steady, calm but fierce. I won't let them. Not now, not ever. You see, little one, River shows shadows, River shows lies, but River also shows who we are, and I choose to protect. The moon shifted, silver light spilling across the surface, illuminating faces that rose and fell with the ripples, dead, remembered, lost, warning. He felt the grief fully now, raw and sharp. Tears threatened. He pressed a hand to the girl's shoulder. I lost before. I failed before. But you are my chance to stand again. You are why I fight. Her small hand pressed against his chest. Fight? Together? Yes, together. He exhaled slowly, feeling the river's chill, the shadow's weight, the past pressing close. You and me. Always. The water flowed quietly, carrying shapes, memories, shadows downstream. Moonlight glittered on small ripples, reflections mingling with firelight from the distant cabin. Every face that rose, every shadow that whispered, told the story he could not deny. And yet, with the girl at his side, he felt the first stirrings of peace, the acceptance of responsibility, the weight of grief acknowledged and transformed into purpose. See, he whispered, River teaches, River shows, River carries, and tonight we learn together. She pressed her forehead to his chest. Learn? Safe? Yes, safe, always safe. His hand covered hers, pressing them together, steady, sure. Shadows may follow, memories may haunt, but here we are, alive, here, together. The wind rose, rustling the trees, carrying distant echoes. The river moved slowly, reflective and deep. He held her close, feeling her small heartbeat against his own. Every shadow, every reflection, every fact. The water reminded him of failure, betrayal, and loss. Yet, finally, he embraced his role. He would protect her. He would face every shadow. He would carry the grief, but not let it consume. The river had shown him the past. The girl had reminded him of the present. And together, they could face the future. He knelt, eyes on the flowing water, hands on the girl's shoulders. Rest now. Watch. Learn. We fight tomorrow, she nodded, tiny eyes heavy but trusting. Tomorrow? Together? Always together. The river flowed, dark and silver, carrying reflections, shadows, memory, and possibility. And he, for the first time in years, felt the burden lift slightly, replaced with resolve, protection, and the fragile, fierce hope of what could be. The first pale light crept over the ridge, spilling weak gold across the fence posts and the dusty paths leading to the cabin. Birds stirred, calling each other, wings scraping against early mist. He moved quietly, carrying the girl in his arms. Her hair was damp from the river, eyes heavy with sleep but alert, watching the horizon where light slowly erased the shadows of night. You safe now? He asked, voice low, careful not to startle her. Always? Her small voice was tentative, unsure, yet filled with an unshakable trust. As long as I breathe, he replied. The weight of those words pressed against him like iron, as real and binding as the rifle slung across his back. He set her down near the steps of the cabin. See, dawn comes, night ends, shadows fade, but I stay. You stay safe. She pressed a small hand into his coat. Dawn, pretty. Pretty, he agreed, and dangerous too. Always can be both. Beauty hides danger, but that's why we're careful. He knelt, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. Never forget, shadows come back, always, but so do we, always. Her eyes drifted to the open gate, the pasture beyond glowing. faintly in the morning light. Gate open? Yes, open, but watched, always watched. He straightened, glancing over the yard, feeling the land, measuring the distances to cover and concealment. Every post, every tree, every shadow became a marker, a line of defense. No one gets through without me knowing. Not today, not tomorrow, not until it's safe. Safe, she echoed softly, lips trembling. Yes. He rested a hand on her shoulder. Safe, little one, and we'll keep it that way. Always. The wind shifted, carrying distant voices, the faint sound of hooves, perhaps neighbors or travelers, or perhaps just echoes of the world beyond. He tensed. They'll notice, he muttered, more to himself than her. People notice when things change. People notice when a place is quiet where it wasn't. They notice when someone stands who once knelt. Notice good? She asked, small and uncertain. Sometimes, he exhaled slowly. Sometimes it means trouble. Sometimes it means respect. Depends on who's watching and what they want. His gaze swept the horizon. We're watched now, and we've changed things. Quietly, without noise. But change carries weight, and weight carries eyes. The girl tilted her head, looking up at him with wide, bright eyes. Help? Yes. He nodded, feeling the responsibility like a stone pressing on his chest. Help by staying close, watching, listening, learning. You have courage, little one, braver than most, braver than me when I first came here. You'll see, strength comes in small packages, in small hands. Hands? Strong? She whispered. Yes, strong. You'll see, strong like river, like shadows, like memory. Not all strength is loud. Some strength is quiet. Some strength protects. Some strength keeps promises. He held her gaze. And I promise. She pressed a hand to his chest, small and as trembling. Promise? Always. Always promise. He brushed the hair from her face again, breathing in the scent of dawn and river, dust and earth. No one else matters right now. Not gossip, not town, not threats. You and me. Only. A faint noise drifted. Through the yard, a horse shifting in a stall, a crow calling, wind through broken boards. He stiffened, eyes scanning the horizon. See, he said quietly. Noise carries, eyes watch, shadows stretch, people notice. And we've changed the story, little one, not theirs to tell. Ours. She nodded slowly, small fingers gripping his coat. Ours? Story? Yes, our story. He glanced at the cabin, then at the open gate. Night is gone, dawn comes, but this story, ours, it doesn't end. We keep it safe, guarded, protected, even if no one else understands, even if no one else sees. Her small lips pressed together, hesitant but determined. Guard? Always? Yes, always guard. Always? You trust me? Yes. Her voice was small but firm, steady. I trust. He nodded, feeling the first stirrings of relief, fragile but real. Good. Trust is power, strength, protection. Keep it close, guard it, and one day you'll see. You'll understand what it means to stand when shadows rise. A distant sound of hooves grew louder. He moved to the fence line, scanning. The girl followed, small and alert. Who? They come? She asked softly. Neighbors, maybe. Travelers, maybe. Just curious eyes. We'll see. Keep close. His gaze swept the yard again. Each post, each shadow, each path held possibility, threat, witness, or opportunity. The land itself seemed to hold its breath. Curious, okay? She asked, tense. Curious is fine, he said. Curiosity carries no harm if you watch, if you listen. Danger only comes to those who let it. And we don't let it. He rested a hand on her shoulder, feeling her small body tense, steadying her. Remember that. Always. Watch, learn, stand. Protect. She pressed closer. Protect you? Yes, and I protect you, and we protect each other. That's what it means. Always. The light strengthened, golden and fierce, cutting through the mist, revealing the river glittery. Nong in the distance. He glanced toward it, seeing the memories of night and shadow, river and reflection. They had survived the dark. Shadows had followed. Shadows had tested. Shadows had retreated. But the river and the night and the riverbank had taught them. And he finally embraced the responsibility fully. "You happy?" she asked, small voice timid. "I am." He smiled faintly, brushing dirt from her sleeve. Happy in a quiet, sharp way. Relief, responsibility, hope, all tangled together. That's what comes with choice. That's what comes with keeping promises. That's what comes with dawn. "Promise? Dawn?" she echoed. "Yes, dawn is promise. Night ends, shadows fade, but they wait, always. We wait too, but dawn brings light, brings chance, brings us." He looked down at her. Us. Always us. The gate creaked on its hinges. He glanced over. Dust stirred in the yard, figures emerging in the weak light. No immediate threat, just people beginning to notice absence, beginning to measure the change. Eyes curious, cautious, waiting for signs. He felt the subtle shift, the delicate balance of power. Quietly, without words, they were aware. His stand last night, the defense, the girl, all altered the story. Small, subtle, dangerous, but necessary. "See?" he said quietly, brushing her hair again. "People notice. Eyes watch. That's how change spreads. But we hold the line. Ours. Always ours." "Line? Ours?" she asked. "Yes. Line we guard. Line no one crosses. Line that keeps you safe. That keeps me steady. That keeps promise." She pressed her forehead to his chest, breathing in dawn and dust and river. "Safe? Yes. Safe. Always. And we'll keep it. Daylight, night, wind, rain. Always." The wind rose gently, rustling fence posts and dry grass. Shadows fled the rising sun. He adjusted her coat, brushed dirt from her sleeves, and watched the light spread across the land. Each post, each shadow, each open space became a marker of protection. The threshold of the cabin, the Reeves bar, the fence. They were symbols, lines he would not abandon. And the girl beside him, small, trusting, fierce, was a reason to stand, to watch, to endure. "You ready?" he asked, voice low but steady. "For?" she asked. "For everything. Life, shadows, people, night, morning, us. Always us." She nodded, small hand brushing his coat. "Always us." "Yes." He exhaled slowly, letting the dawn wash over them, warming, exposing, cleansing. Always. The river glimmered in the distance, the cabin behind them secure. The gate stood open, but guarded. Shadows of night had retreated. The girl's future remained uncertain, fragile, but for the first time in years he felt a strange peace settle in his chest, a combination of defiance, protection, and hope. "Come," he said, voice firm. "Day comes, but we are ready, we face it, together." She pressed close, small hand in his, eyes bright. "Together." He nodded, scanning the yard one last time. Eyes may watch, neighbors may notice, the world may whisper and judge, but dawn had broken, shadows had fled, and the line they held, quiet, unwavering, would endure. "You sleep?" he asked, glancing at her. "Later." "Good. We move, watch, learn, stand. Always?" "Yes, always." The wind shifted again, carrying dust, faint voices, the scent of river and earth. Dawn stretched over the land, golden and promising. Gates stood open yet secured, the horizon clear. Shadows retreated, light pressed forward, and in that light he held her close, resolved, vigilant, ready, safe, for now, for as long as he could breathe, for as long as dawn broke and shadows waited, and lines were drawn and promises were kept. And she, small, trusting, alive, was the reason, the living proof.